Alrighty, I've been hearing a lot about this Bob. Can't pronounce his last name, so I'm not even gonna bother. Something about an IFD chant. Now, I've heard that chant, but I can't say it because I'll get in trouble. So, anyway, and here's another one. I heard you want your country back. Well, yeah, the country belongs to the natives. If the natives don't have a country of their own, they'll eventually go extinct. Now, in most circles, that's called a geno, but being that the native population is white, doesn't count, I guess. Next, Bob's US visa gets cancelled over shocking anti-Semitic chants. I'm not surprised there. Why? If this guy comes to the US and starts singing stuff like that, or chanting stuff like that, it'll just make the situation worse. Do I care that his visa got cancelled? Yeah, kinda. He mocks the natives for losing their homeland? Yeah, I'm kinda glad he lost his visa. Alrighty, there's a video of this guy making a speech. I think I can put that in, so I'll give it a go, and then I'll continue from there.
We start things happening in the world, and you know, we're seeing the UK and the US be complicit in war crimes and genocide happening.
So, first off, war crimes. Do I think Israel's committing war crimes? Let's put it this way. Hamas is committing probably 100 times worse when it comes to war crimes. I've heard things such as when the UN gives food to the Palestinians, the Hamasians take it. So, is that a war crime? I don't know, because technically they're committing it on their own people. But anyway, next, the Hamasians technically started the war with October 7th. Now, I'm not sure if that's a war crime, but I know it's an act of terrorism. It's up there with 9/11, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Now, when it comes to Israel, there's a hospital incident that comes to mind. The Israelis deny it, and then the US and Canada and the UK say it was a misfired Palestinian rocket or missile, so I don't know. Are there other incidences? Yes. But can I confirm them? Not really. Do I want to list them all off? No, not really, because this video will be really long. And to be honest, the Israel-Hamas conflict isn't the focus of this video. So there. Next, this guy talks about a geno. Are the Palestinians being genoed? Nope. If Hamas didn't start crap, there wouldn't be crap. Now, is there a geno going on in the world? Yeah. And it's happening to the native Europeans. Why? Native Europeans are slowly being replaced. And when people talk out about it, they get called a conspiracy theorist, or a racy, or even a Yahtzee. But hey, here's an interesting clip of Joe Biden.
So there's a second thing in that black box, an unrelenting stream of immigration, non-stop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America, from then and on, will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
So for those of you thinking, but hey, the U.S. was founded on immigrants. This is true. But what does Europe and the U.S. have in common? Low birth rates. Why do they have low birth rates? Because corporate tricked women into the workforce. And then when the birth rate tanked, they let in immigrants to fill the replacement. And also, immigrants are cheaper. Now, decades ago in Europe, they couldn't really let in all these immigrants without a cover. What was the cover? Oh, these immigrants still enrich our culture. Diversity is a strength and all that. So why would Biden be okay with whites becoming an absolute minority? Well, if I'm not mistaken, white people tend to be more conservative, not likely to vote Democrat. Also, when he says it's the source of our strength, anybody who speaks out against all the immigration, they can say, oh, so you don't want us to be strong? Meanwhile, corporations are taking full advantage of the cheap migrant labor, and of course, they need replacement labor. Now, as for Europe, having the native white population at 50% or lower makes it a lot easier for the powers that be to stay in power. Why? Because some of that white population is going to be brainwashed. Then the other 50%, they won't vote in the best interest of the native population. Why? Because they themselves aren't native. Alrighty, let's go back and finish up what this guy was talking about.
Over there to the Palestinian people. And look, I know we're on the BBC, look, we're not going to say anything crazy, all right? Don't leave that for them lads. You know what I mean? But we have seen, unfortunately, we have seen a strange reaction to people that come out and voice support for Palestine, even though anybody with any kind of moral compass can surely tell that what is happening over there in Gaza is a tragedy.
He talks about how it's a tragedy over there. Well, the tragedy goes like this. Hamas is allowed to remain. As long as Hamas remains, every 3 or 4 years, there'll be another tragedy. Because Hamas is a terrorist organization that uses its own people as meat shields. But every time I hear somebody talking about free Palestine, they don't mention Hamas. As far as I know. I could be wrong. So as long as you don't address the elephant in the room, you know, the bloody elephant, Hamas, in this guy's opinion, nothing's gonna change. Well, anyway, that's it for my thoughts on this matter. Take care out there in Clown World.